evening, honored guests, the people of Portsmouth, the Honorable Pierre, distinguished guests from around the world. It saddens me that we have to meet under such unfortunate circumstances. And I want to start by expressing my gratitude to the people of Dominica for the tremendous love, respect, and support that they've shown to me. Without such support, I don't know how I would have made it through this ordeal. So I'd like Dominicans to give themselves a round of applause. Thank you very much. I had a great opportunity to travel through the streets of Portsmouth and see the glimmer in the eyes of the little boys and girls, men and women, supporters of Rosie over the years, and the love that was exuded from their pores unto me and unto my family was unprecedented. And I know that Rosie is looking down upon us right now with pride because he believed in you, the people of Dominica. He believed in your ability to carry forward his agenda of modernization. He believed in the passion that it would take to unify the Caribbean as a trading bloc to compete effectively in spite of unfair trading barriers initiated by the World Trade Organization, and to continue to struggle to fight and survive as the world continues to change. My father was a very misunderstood man in Canada. As a young boy, I frequently had the opportunity to spend time with him, and not only was he committed as a politician, but he was committed as a family man and as a dad. All right? And while he lay behind bars at St. Clair Penitentiary, in the back of his mind and in his spirit, he had the people of Dominica at the forefront of his agenda. Through the assistance of Cuba and other progressive forces in the world, he was able to galvanize the resources to put together scholarship programs to assist youth in attaining their educational dreams. And I would like to take this opportunity to announce that the Caribbean Pioneer Women of Montreal have put forward a scholarship to the adopted daughter of Rosie in the pursuit of the continuation of her education. So a round of applause for the Caribbean Pioneer Women's Association of Montreal. The last time I saw my dad, as Gabriel Christian eloquently pointed out, was in Washington, D.C. The true, in the words of Martin Luther King, a man is judged by the content of his character. Rosie Douglas' character was so strong and committed that he was willing to put his life on the line in the pursuit of carrying forward what was necessary to modernize Dominica, so much so that he fought and died for the people of Dominica. I saw the sadness in his eyes in the hotel, which was the last time I saw him. The man had 2 hours sleep that night after a 16-hour day. But that did not stop him from persevering and continuing the struggle. And I gotta tell you this, he had every intention of remaining in Dominica and seeing to it that those various economic development projects would meet fruition. So now I call on the government of Pierre, the civil service, and the people who we have so much confidence in to continue the work and to see to it that each and every one of those initiatives are implemented for the people of Portsmouth and Dominica and the region in the Caribbean. I world whose cause he championed and put his life on the line for. Thank you very much.
Without much further ado, I call to the microphone someone who I have known as long as I knew our beloved leader. Gentlemen, to the bosom of Portsmouth and Dominica, our new Prime Minister, the Honorable Pierre of Grande, South City.
Thank you, Mr. Christian. Esteemed friends from all over the world who are here in sympathy with us tonight in Portsmouth. Members of the family of the late Right Honorable Rosie Douglas. Brothers and sisters, thanks for the warm welcome I have received here in Portsmouth. I know that while the entire region and the wider world mourns the passing of our fallen comrade, no single group of persons anywhere feels it more than you, the people of Portsmouth. In good times and in bad times, you were with Rosie and Rosie was with you. In trials and triumphs, you stood by Rosie and Rosie stood by you. In times of sorrow and in times of joy, you shared your feelings and emotions with Rosie, and Rosie shared his with you. I can therefore understand how his sudden passing would have impacted on this closely knit community of Portsmouth and its environs. I congratulate you, however, on the strength and fortitude you have shown in weathering this awful emotional storm. I salute you this evening for standing tall and displaying the labor power which Rosie taught us all to call upon when the going got tough. I share the pain of the people of Portsmouth, for like you, I have lost a comrade, a brother, a friend, a leader, a mentor, and a great source of inspiration. Perhaps the most fitting tribute I have heard in relation to the character of the man Rosie Douglas was shared by the Prime Minister of St. Lucia when he said, Rosie has never met a person that he did not like or could not get along with. That, I believe, sums up the character and the personality of the man whose life we are gathered here this evening to celebrate. Rosie was not just a humble man who stuck to his principles and beliefs, but he was a caring individual who always had time to listen and administer to the needs of the ordinary people. Whether it was in Portsmouth, Roseau, Grand Bay, Castries in St. Lucia, St. John's in Antigua, Kingstown in St. Vincent, London in Great Britain, Havana in Cuba, Tripoli in Libya, Soweto in South Africa, or any other hundreds of other capitals of the world that he visited, Rosie ministered at all times to the needs of the poor and the dispossessed. Those of us who knew him well can attest to the fact that in the last 8 months he lived for nothing else but to service God and the people of Dominica. Were he a military man, he would be given a 21-gun salute at his funeral tomorrow, for he would have been considered as one who died in action. Rosie Douglas died in the most honorable way a person could pass from this life, in the service of his fellow men. To the people of Portsmouth, I say, take heart in the fact that Rosie's vision is forever etched in the minds of those whom he has left behind, particularly yours truly. I have spent close to 25 years in the shadow of this man, and I am quite familiar indeed. I shared the vision which he had for Dominica. I give you the assurance here this evening that the work Rosie started in this country will be continued. The vision he had for Dominica will be pursued. The revolution he started will be seen through to the end. I am comforted and inspired by the words of encouragement and advice I have received from several of you here in Portsmouth over the past 2 weeks. You have molded many a political giant in Dominica, and this evening I offer myself as a candidate to be molded by you, the good people of Portsmouth. The torch which you lit here in Portsmouth must continue to burn, and I want this evening to ask humbly of you that you give me that torch so that the flame of Rosie's fire can continue to burn. Not only here in Portsmouth, but across the length and breadth of Dominica, the Caribbean, and the world. I am aware and I appreciate very much the fact that Portsmouth has over the years remained loyal and steadfast to Labour Party. Rosie Douglas had a particular vision of Portsmouth, where he wanted to bring this community into the mainstream of social and economic activity. I give you the assurance this evening that his dream and vision of Portsmouth will be pursued under my leadership. Portsmouth has been good to Labour, and Labour will not turn its back on Portsmouth. Up to the morning of October 1st, you were represented by the Prime Minister. You had access to the Prime Minister. You were there for the Prime Minister, and the Prime Minister was there for you. I want to tell you tonight that I cannot replace Rosie Douglas. I cannot walk in his shoes. I can never fill the void in your hearts and soul created by his sudden passing. But I will be there for you as his successor. You will still have access to the Prime Minister. You will still be able to call upon the Prime Minister. No matter who emerges in this constituency as your new parliamentary representative, I serve notice to the people of Grand Bay this evening that as of now, they will have to share me with you, the people of Portsmouth. Representative and our comrade. Many of you would recall that back in the early 1970s, when Rosie returned to Dominica in chains from North America, when several persons misunderstood and misinterpreted his cause and the harsh punishment meted out to him, I was among the first persons that stood up and identified with his cause. I understood back then why he stood up to the Canadians and did not bow. I understood why he preferred to be jailed than to sell out his black comrades. I understood clearly the message that Comrade Rosie was sending to the world. He wanted to make a difference. His vision of a new Dominica was crystallized way back then. It was a small group of us that sat and drafted for this country a new social and economic order. An order in which the poor people of Portsmouth, like those in Granby and the Carib Territory, would one day rise up and take their rightful places at the table of opportunity and prosperity. It was that small group led by Rosie and myself that started the popular independence committees, which went around Dominica to educate citizens to the importance of our deciding our destiny. In the early 80s, we secured Dominicans enhanced educational opportunities through closer ties with Cuba, and who also carved out new niche markets and opportunities for banana farmers. I consider it an honor, after we won the election in January of this year, for Rosie to have chosen me to act as Prime Minister in his scheduled absences from Dominica. I wish to stress here that those absences were fully sanctioned by me, for I understood and appreciated the need for him to call on the myriad number of contacts he had established around the world. And I want to add, even at the times when I acted as Prime Minister and acted as Minister of Finance and still held my substantive post as Minister of Communications, I never complained because I understood what he was doing out there. During Rosie's short tenure as Prime Minister, he built tremendous goodwill for Dominica, and I can attest to the success of his ventures through the number of calls I have received this past week from world leaders pledging their continued support for Dominica as we seek to carry this nation forward. It will be months and perhaps years before we can appreciate the full extent of the work Comrade Rosie did in the past 8 months. For several of the seeds he sowed are still germinating. But I am confident that the fruits of his labor will impact significantly and positively upon the development of this country and touch the lives of each and every one of us. I am humbled to have been chosen by my colleagues and the country to step into the shoes left by Rosie. His will not be an easy act to follow. His vision of Dominica was the amalgam of thoughts and ideas he shared with his late brother. But I am comforted in the fact that wherever I have gone in the past 2 weeks, there appears a willingness on the part of Dominicans to work together to keep the dream alive. I am particularly pleased this evening by the warmth I have felt here in Portsmouth. And it is against this backdrop that I invite you to join with my colleagues and I on the yet uncharted path of carrying this country forward in peace and with equal opportunity for all. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a country to build and a people to mold. I ask you to join me in keeping the flame of Rosie Douglas burning forever in our hearts. I thank you, and as I say good night to you, we can look forward to be here together again tomorrow when we bid the final farewell to the body of Rosie, because we know his spirit will continue to live among us. I thank you very much.
Let's work with him.
started, and we will be doing some good time. Just want to make a quick announcement. Kendall Morgan is the Lucian Agricultural Minister. Is at guest house across the street, Douglas Guest House, waiting for you. Please make your way to the Douglas Guest House.
And what we do tonight is to praise him by buying this magazine. The funds and proceeds will go to continue the good work that he did. Please dig into your pockets. Buy one, buy two, somewhere, go ahead and buy many. Please, Stephen Mackenzie is here and he will be moving around, and there are many more. It's very, 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 very inexpensively priced. It's very, very nice. It's the right time. It's the right place. It's so cheap around, a little shame to mention it. It's only $10. $40, whatever, but we'll buy it $10 for the people tonight. At this point.
And sisters, I come here tonight to bring condolences from all the progressive people of Barbados who loved and respected our brother Rosie Douglas. I hope you will forgive me if I say to you tonight that just as much as Rosie Douglas was your Rosie, many of us in Barbados considered him to be our Rosie too. Many were the times that Rosie Douglas sat with us in Barbados and discussed the political and socio-economic development of our country. He perhaps knew that development even better than some of us. Rosie Douglas did not only belong to Dominica. He belonged to all of us. Rosie Douglas was what we can call a world historical personality. What I mean by that is that here was a man whose life and career was integrally connected to the historical development and movement forward of the entire world. I can tell you this because there are many occasions, many events, many forums that I have shared with Rosie Douglas. For example, I have shared with Rosie Douglas on the continent of Africa in Uganda. I have shared events and forums with Rosie Douglas on the continent of Asia, in Korea. I have shared with Rosie Douglas in Latin America, in Cuba. I have shared with Rosie Douglas in Barbados. He belonged to all of us. He was a world historical personality. And I say to you that we must be conscious that the Caribbean, the English-speaking Caribbean of the 1960s, gave us several world historical personalities. Guyana gave us the great Walter Rodney. Trinidad gave us the great Stokely Carmichael. Jamaica gave us the great Robert Nesta Bob Marley. Grenada gave us the great Maurice Bishop. And Dominica gave us the great Rosie Douglas. That is the caliber of the man. That is the company that we have to locate Rosie Douglas in. I want to say to you that every human being shares a common lot. We all are born and we all must die. But what is important is how we fill the years between the date of our birth and the date of our death. How we give meaning and value to this mortal life. And you know, in many respects, immortality is within our grasp. We become immortal when we live our life in such a way that we touch other lives. We touch other humanity. We touch other human beings so that even when we pass off this mortal plane, the impact that we have had on other lives continue to live. That is how we become immortal in this life. And I can tell you that Rosie Douglas lives on. Rosie Douglas is immortal in that sense. Rosie Douglas is not dead. Rosie Douglas cannot die so long as his work continues to reverberate in the souls and spirits of so many other human beings alive today to pass on his legacy. Rosie Douglas represented the most profound understanding of humanity. He understood that each human being was made in the likeness and image of Almighty God. Each human being was special. And that is what Rosie Douglas brought to his work in politics. That is the unique contribution that marked out Rosie Douglas from many, many other politicians. Many other politicians who only cared about figures, statistics, material things. Rosie Douglas understood that each human being was precious as a being made in the likeness and image of Almighty God. So I say to you that I feel humbled to be here tonight to share with you in paying tribute to this very great man. And I just want you to know that just as much as you in Portsmouth and in Dominica feel his loss, I want you to know that many of us in Barbados and in many of the other islands of the Caribbean, we feel your pain and we are grieving with you. I thank you.
Now we have Mr. Andrew.
His Excellency, the Honorable Pierre, members of the Douglas family, I share your pain. I share your pain because I too have lost someone. You see, I've lost a friend. Rosie Douglas was a man who had unconditional love for Portsmouth. Unconditional love. Rosie Douglas reminds me of a saying which goes like this: labore est orare. In English it means to work is to pray. Rosie Douglas worked for you. He died for you. Rosie, like a Sanskrit proverb which I will share with you. The proverb says, for yesterday is but a dream, and tomorrow is but a vision. But today, well lived, makes every yesterday a vision of happiness, and every tomorrow a vision of hope. Rosie Douglas had a vision of hope for Dominica in general and Portsmouth in particular. Love him, love him. When I came first to Portsmouth, Mr. Douglas said to me, Ashley, I want to build this part of my country. I want development to come here. I had brought with me at that time some investors, and I would say to you, Mr. Charles, Prime Minister Charles, yes, we will continue to support that dream. Yes, we will hope that the legacy which this man has left for work and love for Dominica will continue to ever be green in the minds of the youth, for he loved the youth.